Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry. Today's episode is how to find your ideal outdoor pizza oven. Let's get into it. Hey Randy, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic today, Mike. How are you doing?
I am well as well, sir. Nice hot cup of coffee. Beautiful morning here in gorgeous Michigan. I can't complain, man. I can't complain at all.
No, I love these cool mornings. Grabbed a real light long sleeve t-shirt to run out the door in. That was awesome.
You know, it's a shout out to all of our partners out on the West Coast and down south for all those months that they're teasing us about snow and cold and all of that. They're sitting at 106 degrees. Guys, just come on out to Michigan.
That's right.
So, Randy, today we're going to talk about the illustrious pizza oven. I have eaten some...
I don't know, Mike. I'm hungry.
I know. I have eaten some amazing pizza ovens. And pizza ovens, so some folks I talk to say that they get a bum rap, and I agree with them because a pizza oven is way more than pizza. There's so much good food that you can cook in a pizza oven. So we thought we'd do an episode and thought we would sit back and just talk about pizza ovens and, you know, how they work and what you can get them in and all that type of stuff. So let's just dive right in, man. I was surprised when I saw the different types of pizza ovens. So I mean, I knew two, but I'm surprised by the rest of them. What types of pizza ovens are there out there?
You're right. I was surprised too. As the years go by and more pizza oven products come out, it's like, whoa, what is going on? They're getting more and more like, you know, your outdoor grills. So as far as, you know, pizza ovens go, obviously wood burning pizza ovens been around for probably hundreds of years. Who knows? I guess I could do some research on it and find out exactly. But you know, wood obviously is the original source for a pizza oven. And then the next transition would have been, you know, is gas. Your gas, whether you're using propane or natural gas at the house. Electric pizza ovens. You've got pellet pizza ovens now. And to round out the bottom is, and it's not the bottom, but it is the hybrid version, meaning you can use the gas part of it if you want, the convenience and get it going, or you can burn wood in it. It's all over the place as far as fuel sources. Let's put it this way. You got no excuse.
That is true. That is so true. I'm telling you, dude, I remember probably 9 years ago now, manufacturer came out and saw us and they were hyped about getting a gas unit together. And then they were telling us how, you know, not too far in the future, they were going to have a hybrid unit as well. And we can talk about that because I know some people just don't want to get the wood started and they don't want to. It's kind of like a wood fire. They're like, I don't want to sit there and babysit it. I don't want to, but they still don't want to just turn the knob either and have a gas burner basically inside of there warming the oven. So the ability, and correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, the ability to turn that gas knob on and place your wood on top of that so you don't have to babysit it, that gas, it's like a log lighter in your fireplace, right?
Well, yeah, so typically like, you know, kind of referring to like a hybrid version, you have the gas burners in them, and then typically on those types of units, you're going to actually kind of build your fire up into of the wood up into one of the corners or the sides of the unit itself. Maybe you're going to burn it because you want to get some smoker chips in there to get some flavoring that you're really not going to get necessarily from like the gas part of it, because it's just the way it's going to heat up inside of the dome itself. But yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to have a little wood fire going, and you're going to have your gas. You know, we'll get into a little bit of the conveniences, I guess, of that gas, because there are some. Overall, when you're talking about the different fuel sources, the configurations, the sizes of all of these, they're all gonna, you know, provide you like, you know, a hot, really good pizza. You're just gonna get some small differences because of the type of fuel that you're using on a particular model is what really is gonna come down to a lot of these.
You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast. Does anything get as hot as wood?
Personally, I don't think so. Is from the cooking standpoint, the wood is, when we start talking about wood in general, you're going to get a much crispier pizza out of it versus something in the gas and pellet or the electric. The wood is always going to be the best. That's how it all started. You're going to get the best flavor out of it. But, with a wood burning, just like a wood burning fireplace, Mike, when we talk about wood burning fireplaces, you've got to be able to monitor the heat. You're going to have to constantly fuel that with wood. There's going to be more cleaning involved. But overall, you're going to get the best pizza experience out of it. Just like if you're going to go to a wood-fired restaurant pizza oven, that's what you're going to get. Gas-wise, when you go into a gas version, Mike, then you're really getting into some of those conveniences, meaning it's easy to use. It's going to preheat quicker, think in terms of, your oven at home. Some of the maybe disadvantages of a gas possibly is you're going to probably have to gain a bunch of experience on figuring out how to get as much flavor as you want, because you are going to sacrifice for some flavor because it's going to cook differently. Stuff like that out of the gas unit. Now, one of the things that we see a lot with these wood burners and these gas ones, and it's not to leave out the other three, of course, that are options, we're talking pizzas, of course, but you mentioned first thing is just cooking in general. These wood pizza ovens, the pizza ovens with the domes, and they're all going to have some type of dome shape to them. They're not limited just pizzas. I mean, you can do casseroles. You can get in there. We talked about like a smoker boxes. You can get in there and smoke meats. You can bake breads. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the ovens themselves, and it's going to be a matter of testing and just getting used to the product that you ultimately choose and what you're going to cook and how you're going to cook it and things like that.
Randy, it reminds me of the day my great grandmother lived with us back in the 80s. She was born in the 1800s. I know I'm not that old, folks, but I'm telling you, if you think of your family history, you can date all the way back. So it was neat when we would go to the cabin and we had an old cook stove, big wood burning cook stove, to watch her work, man. She would cook bread. Because it has a little oven compartment. It has, she's adding wood and she's cooking on the top of it. It's the same thing with a pizza oven. You can, and I know one of our Firebrand brands, HBC, they're constantly putting out there how they cook different foods, delicate foods, seafoods, things of that nature, as well as meats. You have extreme heat inside of there that you can use, and you can control all at the same time. Very unique, and for anyone out there who loves cooking, it's a fun experience. And we've gotten to play on them just because people bring them out to, cook us pizzas. And I'm telling you, a pizza will cook in, what, a minute?
Oh yeah, literally. I can't remember off the top of my head, but one of our manufacturers, they would bring out a couple of pizza ovens on a trailers, and I don't know, Mike, would you say that maybe we had 60 employees at that time, and we were probably cooking up to 2-3 just like small 8 to 12 inch size pizzas, like we'll call them personal pizzas, and just like every 90 seconds or so pulling them out. I mean, we were able to feed the entire company in basically like lunch hour, reasonable lunchtime, and that's why it makes them so, popular with like, here in Michigan, we have a lot of the Saturday farm, you go to the farmers markets and stuff like that. And I've even seen a couple of them at the farmers markets doing things like that. There's a lot that you can do with them. There really is, and, we went from gas, electric pizza ovens, it's kind of a self-explanatory. Basically, you're just plugging it in. As we get into like the electrics, you're going to be a little bit smaller, of course, because the sizing. The pellet pizza ovens are, we've seen a little bit more of those these days. Take kind of maybe a takeoff of pellet grills. You're buying bags of pellets, so you're just getting a little bit drier heat out of that because of the pellet. So and it's still burning nice and hot. I've never used a pellet pizza oven before, but they're pretty intriguing, and it seems to be going pretty well.
It would make sense to me, using pellet grills and pellet smokers. The ability to control the temperature is pretty phenomenal with pellet. So yeah, it does make sense that if you're trying to control the heat environment in there, pellet would make a lot of sense to take a good hard look at anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. My niece's husband, he uses a pellet grill every time we're out there for smoking and doing. And so when I saw the pellet pizza ovens come out, I was like, yeah, that does make sense. You could probably really get a nice pizza out of, one of those units.
That's intriguing. Yeah, there's so much you can see that. To me, the fact that they came out with a pellet pizza oven means that they're really trying to show, and people must be seeing it. Consumers must be saying, hey, we want the ability to control the heat in this because it is a viable place to cook. More than just pizzas. Again, these are big ovens, I guess you would call them, with the ability to cook right on the surface of the oven, the stone itself. I know it was super popular and probably still is. We have one to buy those pizza stones because it gets to, negative 10 degrees up here. So you're going to make a pizza in the house. You throw the pizza stone in the oven and heat it up and, throw your pizza on that. So all of that makes sense. But versus a smoker versus a grill and then a pizza oven, how do pizza ovens work, Randy?
So pizza ovens in general are all going to, work the way that they cook in the same manner, meaning, with radiant, convection, and conduction heat. And, we'll just kind of run through these. Radiant heat is going to come from the fire itself and from the heated dome and oven floor. Think of like a conventional, your broiler in your oven for the radiant heat. Then your conduction refers to the type of heat that's transferred between the surfaces that are in direct contact with each other. Think of transferring heat from the cooking floor directly to the pizza, or if you are doing a casserole in an iron skillet, from the floor to that skillet. And then of course, then you have your convection heat that comes from the air that's circulating around that oven, the dome itself, which is passing over whatever it is that you're cooking. Those three are working together, and that's how it's going to work for essentially all types of pizza ovens, because it's some type of dome shape in there so that you get a little bit of that cooking factor in each to give you your end result. And it's just a matter of, so wood is obviously going to be the hottest. So you're going to get the combination of those three. You're going to get the best experience out of that. Then you have your gas. And this is where the learning curve is going to come with cooking with these different fuel types. And then you have the hybrid, which you're going to maximize all three of these in your cooking experience. But without a doubt, no matter what fuel choice you choose, because it's, fuel choice, and we're going to get into some of the other stuff here, but it's going to get into like the sizing and, what you're going to be doing with it and how you're going to be using it, Mike.
So that pizza oven construction itself, you mentioned the dome in the back. It's pulling air from the front door where you're putting everything in, and then typically has some type of stack coming off of it, chimney stack coming off of it. So the air is designed to come through and up, and then it's going to go out. But you have the ability to slow that air down by putting the door on the front of it and allow the heat to build inside and allow even some flavor that you're getting if you're using wood to fill the chamber as well before it passes through and goes up and out. I know that the traditional pizza oven that I've seen is like a concrete dome. What types of construction do you have? Are there options out there? Or is it just that big concrete dome?
No, we're gonna have definitely many options to choose from. So we'll just start with the concrete dome version that you spoke of, and most of those, when you think of just the pizza oven, we'll call it like the dome, meaning like the chassis where the cooking is being done itself. Those are typically made of some type of refractory cement, for heat, so that it can hold the heat in place. Those units you can buy independently and finish it off yourself. So if you're building a wood burning fireplace and then you want a pizza oven next to it, and you want to use the same stone that you're using around your fireplace, well, somebody may just buy the dome itself, and they're just going to incorporate that into their finish work. Then you can buy we'll call it, ready to use countertop version or something. Same thing, the materials are all the same, but now you're going to, the dome itself may have like a protective powder coated steel shell on it, and it's just ready to be set in place and be used. And then think, Mike, of, you'll see this with a lot of your gas, your electric units, like the 304 stainless steel. So think of like barbecue grills. Think of barbecue grills, so you'll get, there's a lot of pizza oven options that are like that. And then there's some, and everything has a budget. I mean, pizza ovens could be $300 to $5,000. Materials are important because of the construction. So, the lesser quality, you may not get as much life out of it. Or maybe it's just because it's a small version, maybe a small electric, a small pellet, versus some of these other, bigger style units.
Absolutely. That makes sense. I mean, anytime a product comes out, you have that range to try and get everybody involved in cooking in that space, especially the manufacturers in general who are looking at it going, we want to offer this experience to everyone. So that makes sense. I know, I've had friends look at me and go, man, I don't know if I want to put that big concrete thing on an island or on a stand of some sort that I have to build in. And I start talking to them about the different options. They glow because they want the experience, they want to have one, but usually you have seen them. And I think, no, I know we have one in our showroom that's all brick from the floor up. It's bricked all the way around. It's beautiful. It is a permanent fixture in that space, whereas there are others, especially some of the hybrids that are out today, they're on wheels, man. You can wheel them around your patio like you would any other piece or any other thing that you have on your patio to get them where you want them. So there's a lot of different options out there. And there are some there that I didn't even know that you were talking about. That's an excellent thing to know.
Yeah, so the materials that they're constructed of are going to kind of lead into, the design and configuration that you're looking for. We already mentioned that, a built-in unit is going to be a much larger unit, than a countertop version. And then you mentioned on wheels, you got the freestanding versions. You can still get a large unit that can be go as a built-in, a countertop, or they have a cart for it. So the design and configurations, that you're working with, or it kind of takes you into the, some folks will, pizza oven size. What size do I need? And then that comes down to, where are you placing it, Mike? Where are you putting it? What are you using it for? Just pizza? It kind of leads back into some of our earlier conversation about the different foods you can cook. Do you want to use it all season long? We're in Michigan. Maybe it makes more sense to do something that is built into something versus a cart style to use all season long. So there's some things to think about there.
Agreed, Randy. I know for us, we like to try and get our appliances out of the winter. Right? I mean, I have a nice covered patio now, but even then I sit there and look at it and go, yeah, I need a spot for my appliances to go when the snow is flying, which might, in all honesty, it might only be a couple months for the winters that we've had of late, but I agree. It's neat to hear. It's awesome to see that there are options for everyone when it comes to pizza ovens. You don't have to have this big brick thing sitting out there on your patio. So that's pretty exciting. I will ask this because we always talk about it and I want to make sure we cover it because it's just easy to get lost in woohoo pizza ovens, let's eat.
Right. Right.
What types of things do people need to know in terms of safety?
Good point, Mike. And because we do stress this a lot. Right off the bat, I'm just going to say they get hot. To go further with that, when you build one into like your barbecue grill island, like you talked about the one we have downstairs, that thing is covered, the dome itself is covered in brick and mortar all the way around with a cast iron front door. That cast iron front door it's a cast iron door that is going to get extremely hot from that fire inside of it. Now the exterior,
it's transferring all that heat.
Exactly, to that steel door on the front of it. Now the brick part of it, the mortar part of it, generally not because of the dome itself, the insulation blankets and things like that are built in and around it. We don't really have to worry necessarily about we'll call it like the exterior construction part of it on, like I said, built in, if they're built in, correctly. But that front door is going to get hot. Cart styles or freestanding styles, think of like the barbecue grill styles. Think of your barbecue grill. You wouldn't want to, when you're cooking a grill, you don't want to go up and have little praying hands touch that grill. It's going to be hot. That whole thing's going to be hot because it's steel. It's exposed. We have some manufacturers that have some of the other we'll kind of call them the larger domes that I've seen at the farmers market and things like that, whether it's on a cart or on a trailer, where it's not stoned, but they have their own like powder coated steel casing around that stone. From personal experience here in the shop, in using that. I know that, I actually have video somewhere probably from years ago and me putting my hands and touching that exterior part of it. However, just like we talked about the door in the front, as you get to that front, it is hot, and we just want folks to know that is hot, and all of these, you've already mentioned it, they're going to have some type of exhaust coming out of it. So depending on the style that you're using, that exhaust pipe may come off the top. It may be a fin off the back. So that is always going to be discharging hot air as well. So those are all precautionary things that folks want to keep in mind when they're thinking of placement as well, because you got to be able to discharge that heat someplace.
Yeah, I have seen the heat gun register error because it was over 1,000 degrees inside of there. In its hottest point with wood burning in the back. So heat is the big safety concern here. I'm trying to think of anything else. It's pretty basic. I mean, it's a dome with fire inside of it. It's got to let the hot air out somewhere. So just pay attention, folks. If you're looking at one of these or thinking about them, we always want to talk about safety, and we want to keep your family enjoying themselves, having an amazing experience around fire, but it's still fire. So respect it.
It is, yeah. It always refer to the manufacturer's specs, installation guidelines, and when it comes to any of that kind of stuff, because it's all going to be part of your overall design, the size you're looking for, where you're placing it, and then, of course, the safety. So we're always going to refer back to our manufacturers and following their guidelines of where this stuff is going to be exhausting out the heat and things like that. So, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to help and answer any of those questions, because we don't expect anybody that's listening to know. That's why we want you to call us, and we're happy to explain it to you.
Well, Randy, is there anything else when it comes to pizza ovens that you want to throw out there?
No, I don't, not necessarily. I mean, we could, this could really go on and rabbit trail for a long time because there's so much. But I think that I feel we just did a good job of kind of just hitting some small points and at least getting people in the right direction. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I agree. We walked through this beforehand and just went, wow, we could sit here and talk about pizza ovens all day. But we've limited it, and I know Sam, our editor, she's going to appreciate us ending here so she doesn't have to cut through too much stuff. So, as always, if there's something you would like to hear us talk about, please don't hesitate. Reach out to us in any one of the ways that you hear throughout the podcast here. And Randy, it is always, sir, I'm so thankful for you and everything you bring to the table, your experience, as well as the time you take out to hang out with us and record this, brother. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Preach, you guys. My pleasure.
And that's a wrap. Join us next time for the power of NFI certified experts in your corner. We'll see you then.